Now that we know for certain that EA Sports College Football 25 is coming out, I think it's only right that I make a wish list. Before even getting into this video, I want to shout out my guys over at CFB Nation. Make sure you guys check them out. Make sure you guys also subscribe. Also, I want to shout out to the Revamp community. I remember during COVID, there was like this thing that happened on Twitch. And if you was a part of the community, you know what I'm talking about, where everybody was playing NCAA Football 14. The Revamp community had done such an amazing job. I met Moon through playing that game. I met my guy Jalen through playing that game. And that game has always meant a lot to me, the pageantry, the tradition. So I can't go further in this video without first thanking the Revamp community. Secondly, I'm glad that this game is coming to console. There's so much more we can do on console that, versus, PC. Granted, PC, you're able to mod, do a whole bunch of other cool things, but, console, the ability to have, like, online dynasties, I think is amazing. But let's talk about the gameplay. We look at Madden 24. A lot of people would like to say, it's such a terrible game. The gameplay is terrible. The presentation is terrible. It's crazy how we got games, 20 years ago that were probably better than the games we have today. I think they had to put a lot more work into those games. We get a alpha version, supposedly an alpha, and they have the ability to update. Back in the day, they didn't have that ability. So the game you release is the game you release. So you kind of had to dot your I's and cross your T's and make sure you're releasing a great game. I've been to FedEx Stadium a handful of times. Every Saturday during the college football season, I travel. I probably have like 1 or 2 idle weeks, but other than that, I'm on the field. I'm at a game. Like, the difference between FedEx and Lane Stadium is night and day. It is absolutely night and day. When that Enter the Sandman comes on by Metallica and you're on the field, it's like the first time you ever experience that, it's like a high that you will never get ever again in your life. Yes, you can go back there and experience it, but the crowd, the fans, makes so much more of a difference in college football than it does in NFL. So the first thing, I want it to feel like a college football game. I want to see a lot of the tradition, a lot of the pageantry. I want to know that this is a college football game and that this is not the prequel to Madden 25. That's what I need to happen. In the past, yeah, it was kind of the prequel. Even in the gameplay was similar. But the biggest difference was the dynasties on NCAA 14 were so deep that you kind of excuse the gameplay from time to time. Granted, the gameplay was rock solid for NCAA 14, but I do not want a prequel to Madden. I want it to feel like college football. The game has to feel like college football. It has to have a lot of those college football principles. Granted, the NFL has added so many college football principles, but the biggest difference is, Army, Navy, a lot of these teams are still running, flex bone. You don't see that in the NFL. So the gameplay needs to feel like NCAA. I think the jukes need to be a little bit more wide open. I think your fan base should be able to give you a boost. Like if you playing in College Station at Texas A&M in the fourth quarter, that stadium should be rocking. It should be absolutely rocking. The game needs to feel like college football. Some of the things we loved about NCAA 14 was, the double jukes, being able to run the read option. The read option system in Madden is a little broken. But what I don't want is a bunch of Madden players being able to hop over, play this game, run gun punch, like we seen, King Henrys and all of them, run looping blitzes, and then, hey, the game is ruined. Like, it needs to have a completely different feel. So, Road to Glory, the storyline, to have the ability to import that into superstar mode, they have to get this right. In Madden 25, they just have to get this right. So you start off in high school and Road to Glory, you do your thing. You can be a dual athlete. You can play offense and defense in high school, kind of, work up your way through the ranks. Boom, go to college. Boom, do your thing in college. Maybe even after college, wouldn't it be so cool that you finish your college, once you export that player to be able to play with them in Madden 25, that Madden 25 doesn't just start off at the combine, and that The things you were able to do in college on College Football 25 should be able to matter. Like, boom, you go, you finish, you export your player into Madden 25, creating, with the superstar mode in Madden. Then imagine if you start off with the East-West Shrine Game of the Senior Bowl. Imagine how dope that would be. Boom, dominate there. Boom, combine. Do your thing there. But if you don't do your thing there, you should be able to have the ability to have a pro day. Then get drafted. Really tell a story. So a lot of these creators that are really creative can tell a story from start to finish using both of these games. I think that's real important. Two things you have to get right. You have to get Dynasty right. You have to get Road to Glory right. Like, if you don't get those game modes right, the fans are going to be upset with you. I think more fans could deal with issues in the gameplay or, issues overall. But if you're able to get that Road to Glory and Dynasty right, I think you'll be forgived a lot. So Dynasty mode should be the biggest focus by EA, and I think EA Sports agrees. Dynasty mode should be utter chaos for recruiting. Recruiting should be out of this world like it is for coaches in real life. Like, college football coaches, a lot of them are leaving because it feels like hamster on a wheel. Like, it never stops. The grind never stops. Recruits should be able to flip, just like in real life on early signing day. You should be able to make promises to these recruits. And if those promises fall through, you should have to make new promises to keep them there, or they should enter the transfer portal. It should really be that simple. I know a lot of you like, yo, some of us are really going to be stressing out. Like, most of my time in dynasties will be spent on recruiting. Do I want this recruit or do I want this player that's in the portal? Tough decisions should have to be made on whether to spend extra money on a recruit or spend that money on a portal player. Every school should have an NIL balance. As you win, that NIL balance should grow. Period. We should also be able to export the draft classes into Madden, but make them more engaged. You remember back in the day, like, you export a draft class. Let's say you had like an 86, 87 overall player. He has a great season, but he's a bum once you try to attempt to draft him in Madden. Like, it shouldn't be like that. It's like it was so like overall based. Yeah, overall should matter, but your stats should matter as well. We should be able to take notes on, okay, this team won the Joe Moore Offensive Lineman Award. Well, maybe one of those players can have a hidden trait, being able to do that. I think there's so much that we need to have the ability to do in playing this game, and it's important that EA Sports get this right. So now I want to kind of take a look at what I think kind of recruiting a player should look like. All right. So you guys see on the screen, I got two players. One of them is a high school athlete that we need to offer a scholarship to. And yeah, it's Mad Niema Lava. I'm sure I butchered his name. His brother Nico plays for Tennessee. 6'3", 185, NIL value at $71K. He's a 4-star, 11th ranked quarterback, dual threat. Here's the things that matter to Madden. NIL money is most important. Wants to take care of his family. Doesn't want to redshirt. Wants to compete in year one. Hidden development trait. Do we know what that development trait is? No. But he wants promises made. So you should have to make promises to this guy. And then the bottom, we seen what teams are currently leading, how far your team is back. And then our team is currently in third. We're pretending we have Florida State at 1,000. Look at the difference in Brady Cook. Yes, it shows his height. His NIL value was much higher. You should have to spend more money on these top tier players in the portal. His yards, he threw for 337 yards, 21 touchdowns, 6 INTs. No one ranked player in the portal. Look at what he wants. He wants to be in a quarterback-friendly system, wants to improve his draft stock, wants to win a natty, and his dev trade is superstar X Factor. We already know that because he put in the work. Our team are 650 points behind. Now, I don't know how they plan on doing this and getting this right, because it's going to be incredibly difficult to ensure that they get this right. But this should be difficult. Do I, if I'm Florida State, want to grab a quarterback, develop that quarterback, maybe have a couple seasons where, we're just outside of the National College Football Playoff for the championship? Or do I, B, want to go get this guy, and if I surround the right talent around him, and he thinks that our system is quarterback friendly enough, and he thinks that he can improve his draft stock, and he thinks he can win a national championship, what do I do? Now, you see the cost, the difference in cost. Yeah, it's still expensive for Nico, but getting Brady Cook, you're going to have to pay. You got to pay to play. So what do? You go get that player, and then instead of recruiting Nico, because Nico's not going to want to play if he can't compete in year one. He knows he can't compete with Brady Cook in year one. So he's not going to come there. So you might have to get like a 3-star quarterback. Maybe you can groom him, and hopefully he's ready for when Brady Cook leave. Like, so now it's like a balance. It's a power struggle, and it's going to be difficult. So see, these are some of the things that I want in the game. Dynasty needs to be important. I think we'll forgive gameplay year one if Dynasty and Road to Glory are right. It has to be utter chaos with recruiting. Recruiting is so difficult in college football. It has to be utter chaos. Also, one last thing I'd like to see. Starting after week 9, there should be a college football ranking show. Something similar to what we've seen in ESPN 2K5. Y'all remember how they kind of had the weekly show with Chris Berman? Nothing too crazy. Or how College Hoops, that series, 2K8, had the preseason show with the top 25 teams and all of that. It don't gotta be nothing crazy, but something to look forward to. So you know how when you play Madden at the very top, it says view weekly awards. If you won an award, starting that, if your team is in the top 25, you should be able to hit A and then it plays the clip and see where your team is. You shouldn't be able to see like your team ranking until you hit that. Or you do have the ability to skip it if that's something you don't want to see. But the presentation, they have to get this right. It has to feel like college football. You got ESPN. You got to have some college game day elements into it as well. As I always like to say, there are no more victories in a sport that survive in advance. That's why college football has the greatest regular season. And until next time, y'all already know what it is. 1.